Hi guys, hello everyone, you're welcome to the channel. And in today's video we're going to be talking about David in the Bible. And David had different parts which I'm going to be dealing on. If I talk about David the way I really know about the story of David, I can do 50 episodes of David. So today I'm going to be doing 2. So after this and I'll do other one, we're going to talk about it. David had a very unique story. The first one was when Samuel came to the house. The first encounter was when Samuel came to the house to ordain, the king in the house of Jesse, which was his father. So getting there, he told the father that the Lord sent him to come and anoint the son who is going to be the king. And Jesse called all his sons. The first thing to learn there was David was not really counted as the one who looks like the king. He was not seen as the one who was going to become the king. So he was a forgotten child. And the Bible also illustrated the part that the way David described it was like he was a child who was born out of wedlock. The way it was described in the Bible, it was like a child who the mother wasn't in the house, wasn't in Jesse's house. So that was how David was. It seems as though David was neglected. He didn't have a brother, neither does he have a sister. He just had step brothers. He wasn't a child who was counted as the main child. He was like a child who was like, he's not really, don't count this one. This one is, and David was always in the bush taking care of his father's sheep. So these are different parts I want to touch on. First of all, David was always in the farm taking care of his father's sheep. And David encountered a lot of things being in the bush. And in the process of doing those things, God was raising David. God was training David. God was building David. God was helping David. God was teaching David. Why? Because he was doing something with his life. He was adding value to his life. Most of the times when we are living our lives, we are putting so much effort in learning, so much effort in serving, so much effort in doing, and it seems as if it's not yielding result. But God is actually raising you through those processes. He's actually teaching you through those processes. A time where you want to buy something for yourself, you want to acquire something for yourself, and you can't afford it. And God will be teaching you that in spite of these things, in spite of the fact that you want to have, let me use this as an example. I'm using a Samsung phone now. You want to acquire a Samsung phone and you can't afford it. And God will be teaching you on how to be contented. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for in my heart. On how to be contented in spite of not having it. On how to be happy in spite of not having it. Because it's a place to be. Even when you can't have it physically, you have it inside you. You have it in your spirit. You know that one day I will have 1,000 of this. So in spite of that, God is training you. Even when you can't get those things. So using David as an illustration, David was serving. David was doing something. David was building. God was raising him with all those things he encountered. I encountered the beard. I killed the lion in the bush. God was raising me and nobody knew about it because David was alone those times. So this is someone that God has been raising with challenges, overcoming challenges in the bush, going through so many difficulties, experiencing so many things with the sheep. And nobody knew about that because all they could see was the physical David, was the David was scattered, you know. So that was one thing to learn in that story. Then the other thing to learn was his father. His father never saw David as the real. He never saw him as a king. He never saw those potentials, but those potentials was hidden. And how can I also explain that? There are people who don't recognize you. Just like Jacob in the Bible, he said, the Lord was here and I knew it not. There are people that don't see you for who you truly are. Maybe because you don't dress in those lavish way that they will take note of you. Maybe they don't see you in a particular way that they can be able to process you and know that, oh, this is it. Maybe you don't act that way and they zero you off. They size you off. But God has a plan. He knows the potential that He puts in you. He knows who you are. He knows whom you are. He knows what you are made of. He's the one that puts those values, those potentials in you. So God knows. But the people around you might not know, because why? You haven't bring out those virtues yet. They don't foresee it. Why? Because they only see the physical. They don't see something beyond the outward appearance. You know, so that was what happened to David in that house. Maybe because David was behaving, maybe he probably was coming back from the farm, he's dirty, he lay on the bed like that. They was saying, this guy is a dirty guy, he's smelling of the sheep. You know, maybe that was his charisma. Maybe that was his personality at that time. Maybe that was how he was. You know. So what I'm saying in essence is that is another thing to learn. But the Lord told Samuel that he said, is there still anybody in this house that they haven't called? What did the father say? He said, there is still one of my son who is in the farm or wants to, you know, the way he even introduced David, it was like a knockoff. You know, and Samuel said, bring him, call him. And David came. What happened? The Lord said, this is him. Anoint him. It means it's God that decides who we be. It's God that puts His grace in any man that will rise. He's the one that announces. It's God's grace that reflects. It's God's grace. He's the one that chooses His own and causes him to shine and set among princes. So there are 3 different illustrations I've brought out from this particular story, how David was anointed in his father's house as the king. The first one was, he was taking care of his father's sheep. That to us now is facing challenges, doing something in their lives. Then the 2 was, the people around you might not see who you are, might not know what you are made of, might not even know. It might even be the individual. You might not even know the stuff you are made of, and you keep undermining yourself, because every human being has been given a grace to herself. God has given all of us our potentials. Is in us. The yeast to rise is in every human being to shine. But you might not see yourself in that light. It might not even be the JC. It might not even be your parents. It might not even be your friends who are not seeing you the way they ought to see you. It might even be you yourself looking down at yourself because of the kind of life you have lived, because of how you have lived your life, because of how you have chosen to see yourself. It might even be you. The situation might even be coming from you. That's the second step. Then the third step, that it doesn't matter how you see yourself. It doesn't matter what you think about yourself. It doesn't matter how people think about you. But the God said, Samuel, anoint this guy. It doesn't matter your opinion right now or whoever opinion, but you are the one that the Lord has chosen. You are the one that the Lord has chosen. And do you know how many years it took David to become a king after Sam? After he was anointed, I'm going to tell you in the next episode. So I'm going to narrate the other part of David's story after this video. So that brings me to the end of this video, and I hope you were able to learn a few things from this illustration about David and the Bible. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. Bye.